December 30th, 1896. The air in Bagumbayan is heavy, cold, and silent. In the dim light of dawn, a figure walks with a calm and steady pace. This is Dr. José Rizal, a man whose ideas ignited a revolution, now walking towards his own end. There's no fear in his eyes, no trace of anger on his face, only a profound sense of peace. With each step on that hallowed ground, he carries the dignity of an entire nation. His pulse is steady, his spirit unbroken. This isn't the walk of a condemned man. It is the final, defiant act of a free one. In his heart, there is no room for hatred. Instead, it is filled with a boundless hope for the future of his beloved Philippines. He is about to become a martyr, a symbol. But in these final moments, he is simply a man who loved his country more than his own life. Before this final walk, confined within the cold stone walls of his cell in Fort Santiago, Rizal took up his pen one last time. He didn't write a plea for mercy or a bitter condemnation of his captors. Instead, he poured his soul into a poem, a final, beautiful, and heart-wrenching gift to his people. Mi Último Adiós, my last farewell. It wasn't just a goodbye. It was a love letter to the Philippines, a testament to his unwavering belief in its future. He wrote of the land he adored, the pearl of the Orient Sea, and the joy of offering his life for its happiness. Each line is a brushstroke, painting a picture of a man who saw beauty even in death, who found purpose in sacrifice. This poem would transcend its humble origins, hidden inside an alcohol stove, to become one of the most powerful pieces of literature in our history. A song of patriotism that echoes to this day. But who was the man behind this immortal poem? To understand Rizal's final moments, we must look beyond the martyrdom and explore the rich tapestry of his life. José Rizal was not born a hero. He was a brilliant mind, nurtured by curiosity and a deep sense of justice. Born in Calamba, Laguna, he was a polymath in the truest sense of the word. He was a doctor, specifically an ophthalmologist who restored his own mother's sight. He was a novelist, a poet, a journalist, a scientist, a sculptor, an educator, and a linguist who could converse in over 20 languages. His intellectual appetite was voracious. He traveled the world, not as a tourist, but as a student, absorbing the best of what other cultures had to offer, always with the goal of bringing that knowledge back home to uplift his people. His mind was a bridge between the Philippines and the world, and he wanted to build more of those bridges through education. Rizal's most potent weapons were not swords or guns, but his words. Through his two groundbreaking novels, No Limitangere and El Filibusterismo, he masterfully exposed the cancers plaguing Philippine society under Spanish colonial rule. He didn't just tell a story. He held up a mirror to the injustices, the corruption of the government, and the abuses of the clergy. He gave a voice to the voiceless, depicting the struggles of ordinary Filipinos with such raw honesty that it was impossible to ignore. These books were more than just literature. They were a social and political awakening. They were banned, of course. The truth they carried was considered dangerous, subversive, but like all powerful ideas, they could not be contained. They were smuggled, secretly copied, and passed from hand to hand, igniting the flames of consciousness and nationalism in the hearts of his countrymen. Rizal knew the power of an enlightened mind, and he used his to awaken a sleeping nation. His philosophy was clear and consistent. Freedom is not simply won on the battlefield. True, lasting independence is achieved through education and the cultivation of virtue. He argued that a people who are not educated, who do not understand their rights and responsibilities, can overthrow a tyrant only to fall under the yoke of another, or even become tyrants themselves. Why independence? Aeon se doblerot. If the slaves of today will be the tyrants of tomorrow. This was his radical idea. He believed in revolution. Yes, but a revolution of the mind first. He championed the establishment of schools, the reform of education, and the moral and intellectual uplifting of the Filipino people. During his exile in Dapitan, he put this philosophy into practice. He established a school for boys, teaching them not just academics but also practical skills, ethics, and the importance of community service. Dapitan became his laboratory for building the kind of society he dreamed of for the entire Philippines. As he stood on the execution ground, Rizal's thoughts were likely not on his own fate, but on the seeds he had planted. He had lived a life of purpose, dedicated to a cause far greater than himself. His final request was a testament to his character. He asked not to be shot in the back, as was customary for traitors, but to face his executioners. He wanted to meet his death head-on, as a man of honor, not a criminal. While his request to face the firing squad was denied, in a final, incredible display of will, as the bullets struck him, he twisted his body to fall facing the rising sun. It was his last symbolic act, turning towards the dawn of a new day for the Philippines, a future he had envisioned and fought for with every fiber of his being. He fell not as a defeated man, but as a seed being planted in the earth, ready to grow into the tree of liberty. Today, the spirit of José Rizal lives on. It is not confined to monuments or the pages of history books. It lives in every Filipino who dares to question, to learn, and to dream of a better nation. It is in the heart of every student who strives for knowledge, every teacher who inspires, and every artist who uses their craft to speak truth to power. His legacy is a constant reminder that the most profound change begins within. It is the belief that our greatest strength lies not in anger or division, but in our shared humanity, in our capacity for compassion, and in our unyielding pursuit of knowledge. Rizal showed us that patriotism is not just about waving a flag. It's about actively working to build a just, prosperous, and enlightened society. So, as we remember his final moments, let's look beyond the tragedy of his death and see the triumph of his life. Let's be inspired by his courage, his intellect, and his deep love for his country. Let us ask ourselves, how can we carry his spirit forward? How can we contribute to the nation he dreamed of? The work is not yet finished. The challenges our country faces today are different, but the principles Rizal championed education, integrity, and love for one another are more relevant than ever. The story of José Rizal is not just a chapter in our history. It is a continuing call to action for every generation of Filipinos. Let's honor him not just by remembering his name, but by living out the values he died for. Thank you for watching. If you found this story inspiring, please like, share, and subscribe for more explorations into our rich history.